as always, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I am so delighted to be back here at the fabulous Verdugo, and I have to say it this way because I'm half German, the Verdugo HUUT, which sounds Swedish, but give me that. And I'm especially thrilled that tonight I'm here with Olivia Negron, who we'll read later, and we're here as part of Team The Classics Slacker. The Classic Slacker, reading the classics so you don't have to. The Classic Slacker Read series was created by Christina Negron, and I am having the best time writing these saucy, irreverent homages to the great novels with her and Deb Martin. Jackie Wilson, creator and host of the History of Literature podcast, described the Classic Slacker series as if Cliff's Notes had been written by a stand-up comic. We've published the Classic Slacker versions of Moby Dick, Madame Bovary, The Scarlet Letter, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and Pride and Prejudice. Next up are The Great Gatsby and Wuthering Heights. Spoiler alert, the Heathcliff in the book is nothing like the Heathcliff in the movie. The Heathcliff in the book is a total tool. Any one of these books would be perfect for the theme, Your Valentine is Wrong. Tonight, I'm going to share two excerpts from the Classic Slacker Reads Pride and Prejudice. If I'm quoting directly from Austen's beloved novel, I'll make air quotation marks for clarity and also because I really love making air quotation marks. As we know, the course of true love did not run smooth for Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. No First Name that I can remember offhand, Darcy. You know how it goes. He's proud, she's prejudiced, he lives in Pasadena, she's in Santa Monica, the usual obstacles. This excerpt describes a trip Elizabeth takes and a surprise visitor. There is reference to Colonel Fitzwilliam, with whom Elizabeth has been enjoying a skosh of a flirtation because unless she marries someone, her life is basically over. When people visited each other in those days, they almost never left. Elizabeth has been at the Collins place for weeks with no sign of packing up. One afternoon, when Charlotte and her younger sister Maria are out shopping, Elizabeth is enjoying some me time in the house. Suddenly, she is startled by a ring at the door, the certain signal of a visitor. Hey, that's what it means nowadays, too. The doorbell signaling a visitor may be the only thing that hasn't changed in life since 1799. And who's on the other side of the door? None other than one Mr. Darcy. He is astonished to find Elizabeth home alone, and he's tongue-tied. Darcy, whoa, you're here. Elizabeth, yes, I am. Darcy, you alone? Elizabeth, yes, I am. Darcy, nice house. Elizabeth, yep. Darcy, picking up a newspaper. Mind if I do the crossword? Elizabeth, it's not my paper. Fortunately, they are relieved from the awkwardness when Charlotte and Maria arrive shortly thereafter. Darcy apologizes for busting in and beats a hasty retreat. Charlotte is all abuzz. What can be the meaning of this? My dear Eliza, he must be in love with you, or he would never have called on us in this familiar way. Elizabeth spits out a pshaw so hard that it reaches clear across to the fireplace. Well, why else would he come, Charlotte insists, hoping to find something in the fridge? Elizabeth conjectures that he stopped by because he was bored and there wasn't anything else to do. All the field sports were over. The drive-through horse wash was closed, his Toastmasters meeting was canceled, and he had already missed improv class. Not that the guy responds much to outside stimulation. Darcy's not a talker. He frequently sat there 10 minutes together without opening his lips, and when he did speak, it seemed the effect of necessity rather than of choice, a sacrifice to propriety, not a pleasure to himself. He seldom appeared really animated. What a dud. Good thing he's handsome, has lots of dough, and a swanky estate. Charlotte muses that Colonel Fitzwilliam might be a good match for Elizabeth. He admires Elizabeth, he's pleasant, and he smells okay. But sadly, since Elizabeth doesn't have money and neither does he, an engagement between them probably wouldn't fly, unless they came up with a business idea that scores an offer from the entrepreneurs on Shark Tank. Sharks! You know how all of us are always traipsing all over the place, all the time, from one estate to the next, all over England? Wouldn't it be great if our travel trunks weren't so darn heavy? Well, we've come up with a new way to carry stuff that will revolutionize moving from place to place. Luggage with wheels at the bottom, just like a horse-drawn carriage. In the next excerpt, Darcy shows that he really is beyond inept when it comes to romance in general, and romance with Elizabeth in particular. There is a reference to Lady Catherine de Bourgh, one of the most condescending and hilarious aristocrats to grace the world of fiction since Netflix released that Harry and Meghan documentary. To Reverend Collins, a man so unctuous, Elizabeth refused his marriage proposal a record 12 times. And to Wickham, whom Elizabeth believes Darcy has treated contemptibly. But hey, let's move on to a little gossip, shall we? Lizzie, did you know that Mr. Darcy broke up a romance? He congratulated himself on having lately saved a friend from the inconveniences of a most imprudent marriage. Colonel Fitzwilliam says he's pretty sure that the friend was Mr. Bingley, and the lady was Elizabeth's sister, Jane. Damn you to Hades, Darcy, you waistcoat-wearing, snuff-snorting, engagement-blocking jerk. Elizabeth is fighting mad. She's so angry that she gets a massive headache and excuses herself from going to Rossing's that evening, as an encounter with Lady Catherine de Bourgh in Elizabeth's already debilitated condition would certainly prove fatal. I say, what's that sound? The doorbell? The certain signal of a visitor. It's Mr. Darcy as we live and breathe. What is he doing here? In vain have I struggled, he tells Elizabeth. It will not do. My feelings will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you. Why, you silver-tongued Romeo, how you do pitch woo. I'm surprised and delighted. I'm sorry, in vain you've what? Did I just hear struggled? Did someone tell you I was home with a headache and you thought, perfect time to drop by unannounced to deliver the world's most tone-deaf profession of love? Elizabeth turns several different shades of crimson, which Darcy, in his perpetual self-congratulation, happily considers sufficient encouragement. Yeah, not so much in this case, pal. Well, when Elizabeth is finally composed enough to give him an answer, it's a 55-word rejection, which the classic slacker will boil down to 4 words. In your dreams, goober. First of all, she objects to the fact that Darcy felt the need to point out the difference in their class in his "Will you marry me" speech. But instead of apologizing, Darcy doubles down. Could you expect me to rejoice in the inferiority of your connections? To congratulate myself on the hope of relations whose condition in life is so decidedly beneath my own? Wait, Lizzie. Are you upset because I said you were like so far below my station as to be nearly invisible from my exalted height? Is that what this is about? Well, come on, was I being inaccurate or something? Elizabeth goes on to blame Darcy for breaking up Jane and Bingley. And just to put the finishing nail in the coffin, Elizabeth adds that the whole business of bankrupting poor dear Wickham was especially stinky. Did the classic slacker say that was the finishing nail? The classic slacker was wrong. It's this. I had not known you a month before I felt that you were the last man in the world whom I could ever be prevailed on to marry. Well, unless Collins were still left on earth, in which case Darcy would be the second to last.
Heidi Mastrogiovanni, polyglot, snappy dresser. Sometimes when I wear sweatpants, I pitch woo.